Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Gibbo the Shaman and I shaved my hair, as you may have noticed. So, it's just summertime and it's that time of year to get rid of all the hair because it's, in New Mexico where I live, it's pretty hot. So, you know, anyway, so what we're talking about today is I wanted to come on here and share an experience that I had last night in my meditations. So, I was meditating and I was, kind of doing my own thing. I was going out into interdimensional space and I was, just kind of, you know, just actually it was not one of those meditations where I go out into interdimensional space, but it was an interdimensional meditation. I was just kind of more focused on internally. Like, how do I heal? How do I grow? How do I gain or how do I regain my power? And so those are the things that I was focused on because I had received some advice from the ETs that it would be a good idea to focus on that stuff. And how can I regain my power is such a powerful question. It's like you know, you don't ask that question if you believe you have no power. Okay? So it reformats the universe. Basically it reorganizes things in the universe and and within internally. So anyway, so I was doing this meditation and I was, asking about how can I regain my power. And then I I get these visions. Now this is something that might be different for you. Like the ET friends, our ET friends, our ET family will speak to you in a way that you can digest and handle. So I've been getting a lot of visions, and I've come to find out that that's their most effective way of communicating to me because it gives me a picture in my mind and I can choose whether I want to like go into it and find out more or if I want to step back and you know not the choice is mine really, instead of them like giving me something verbal, like, telling me something crazy, verbally is a lot different than showing me something. So, in this meditation, you know, I basically, it was very interesting, very cool. I, I had a vision that it was a person vision where I was sitting at the head of a table, at the end of a table, and it was a empty table, nobody was there. I was, sitting there reading my newspaper, drinking my coffee or whatever. It was kind of like that, like almost like you know, just a Sunday morning kind of thing where, I was this guy, well, I was me, but in a different, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how to explain it. So, and then, I'm there coming in, I'm just like coming into this vision, and I notice like I'm sitting there at the head of the table, and then there's this little girl, like about 5 years old, this little girl, and she's like running around the table. She's like singing, dancing, like, imagine, like, I can see the imagination. I can, like her imagination's manifested as like a little cloud above her head, where like I could see what she was thinking about. And, she's very, very happy, very innocent, very, loving. And I'm like, huh, this is interesting. And so it was just so like, you know, it, here's the other thing. Like, my brain, I would never think about, having a vision of a child. Like, I'm a single guy, I yeah. So, the children are not my cup of tea, really. And so, like, other people have families and lots of kids, and that's just not me. And so anyhow, um she was kind of doing her thing, staying close to me, circling around the table. Um and then I was seeing her, like, imagination, her spark, her uh light, just this light, positive, clean energy. Like, I don't know, just like a creative energy surrounding her. And anyway, so that was very beautiful to me. And then, I had asked her, "Hey, little girl, like, hey, little girl, where's your parents?" And she was like, "You're my daddy. Don't you remember?" And I'm like, okay. So, it's like, oh, okay. I guess I guess we're going with this now. But um so anyhow, yeah, so then that was kind of that. And then I said, I kind of played into it when I've learned that when the universe gives you something, you should play along. So I said, okay, I'm that, like, not really not really remembering. I didn't remember that I was her father or anything like that, but I just kind of played along. Oh, okay. and and I was like, "So what are you doing?" And she was like, "Oh, I'm just playing. I'm just having fun, and just, hanging out and doing kid things." And so I was like, "Oh, wow, okay." So, and then I asked her, um, you know, my personal block, the thing that I guess I'm blocked emotionally or whatever, psychologically, from doing the most, is that, is what she was doing. Playing, having fun, creating, imagining, and, you know, and so tying back to what I was asking, what I was meditating on, was, how do I regain my power? And, what 5D is very different. So, like, how would you imagine like a powerful person in in our world, in America or whatever, however you want to say that? And it's just like, you would imagine like someone wealthy, someone like a president, someone like a CEO or whatever, like, someone with high status and this and that. And in 5D, children are the most powerful. Children, I mean, because they have so much creativity and so much like joy, and they're, innocent, and they're, just playful, and very creative, very imaginative. And so one of the things that I asked her was, hey, can you help me with can you like teach me how to play? Can you like teach me how to imagine, how to, create? And, and she was like, oh yeah, I can do that. That's easy. Because it's easy for kids to do that. And so, I was like, okay, well, cool. So it actually was a very emotional kind of experience for me because, it was just the way that I was raised, the way that I was as a kid, even having nothing to do with being raised a certain way. My overall temperament as a kid was not to play. It was to just kind of hang out, just kind of sit around and wait for something to happen. Like, watch TV or whatever, you know. I was raised in front of a TV. That was my childcare as a kid. And so, and I know that my mother, my parents, well, my mother and my grandparents were doing the best they could, you know. So that's all right. And so, but what I really learned from this child, and I didn't really get her name at all, but I, now know that she's my daughter, at least up there. But what I got from her was this, I was like sobbing and stuff at this point. I was like, just doing that simple stuff, just, playing, imagining, like being creative, being a kid, like, singing, things like that. It was it was so nourishing for my soul to see that. And, for her to teach me that, to even just by her doing her own kid thing, like, you know, she kind of taught me a lesson in that. So, yeah, I mean, and plus it's a beautiful thing in 5D. In 5D, kids children can stay children. This is my understanding, at least. Children, like, in human life, in human years, we have like ages. We have, how old are you? And at a certain age, puberty sets in. At a certain age, this sets in, that sets in, and all that. So our bodies are constantly growing, when we're a kid, and just like the the point is not to stay a kid, that you know, over a certain period of time you become an adult. You blossom and flourish into an adult. And over there, I think kids can stay kids as long as they want. You know? Somebody could be 500 years old and still and still be a kid and still have that childhood, wisdom, and that, like thing of just playing and having fun. And that's so what I've learned is certain souls choose certain bodies to to you know so like if your soul wants to experience something or vibrate on a certain frequency or learn more about something or experience something, then your soul is going to manifest itself into that body type that allows maximum, like, harmony between your soul frequency and what you want to experience. So that's why our ET friends manifest themselves as, tall white, like Nordic people, or like blue beings. Like, there's these people, the like moon people, who are like short people with bald heads and wear like these turtlenecks. There's, mantis beings. There's reptilian looking beings. And don't get me started on reptilians. Those are fake. Like any kind of predatory alien is just fake. Okay, that's the predatory aliens were invented by the deep state. So, um, so yeah, my all of my experiences have been super loving, super like positive, and yeah, it's I just when I had that experience with that little girl, um, I just I couldn't keep it together. I was just sobbing and like, oh my god, like this is like in our world, being a successful person, being rich and famous is successful and all that and powerful. But in that world, being a kid, being happy, being imaginative, being playful, that is power. So it's the exact opposite. And what, humans just think of as, oh, just kids being kids. Oh, yeah, you have an imaginary friend. Okay, yeah, whatever, you're just making crap up. That's they created that friend. They created children all over the world, and children, like, even in 5D and whatever. They're creating galaxies. They're creating their own worlds. They're creating their own, their own, like, imagination is creating something. It's not just Oh yeah, well that's what kids do. I've learned that this is actually a really powerful way of creating, like, your imagination manifests things. And so even if you were to just like have the mindset of a child, just playing, being playful, being, relaxed, just, you know. And the other thing about children is that they're always taken care of. They don't have to worry about bills. They don't have to worry about, oh, am I gonna, you know, am I gonna make the rent this month? We'll just create another house. It's like, okay, I don't need to worry about that. The universe is taking care of me. The universe loves me simply because I exist. And look, this is all coming from a guy who didn't really, I don't like to be around kids. The crying, oh my god. It's just, this is why I'm not a father either. Because it just, I can't handle it. So, yeah, I feel like I can barely keep my own shit together, much less taking care of anyone else. But that's just my human limitation, you know. Up there, I guess I now have a kid, which is news to me. So, and it's just like, okay, whatever that means. I mean, I'm I'm perfectly content with this just being a psychological tool that I used on myself to kind of lighten up, to be more relaxed, more creative, you know. So if you want more power in 5D, if you want the most powerful, you want, the most power in 5D, you need to become like a child. Okay? So, I mean, everyone's, think about this. Everyone is in their intellect. Everyone is concerned about what's true and what's real and all this stuff and, this and that. It's like we're so involved in our intellect. And guess what, guys? Your intellect is made as a human just to survive 3D. How do I put a lug nut on my car? Which way does it turn? Let's see. Going left? Nope. Going right? Yep. How do I, do this? How do I do that? That's what the intellect is for. And intellect should be left out of spirituality. Okay? So, spirituality, this new 5D thing, it's about having fun. It's about creating your own world. It's about joy, happiness, bliss. And it's just, it's going to be a beautiful world for whoever makes it there. And it's your choice to make it there. I can't do it for you. Wish I could, but I can't. you're going to have to decide on your own whether you want to come to 5D, whether you want to humble yourself and be as a little child. And so I find it really interesting that I was asking about how to regain my power. And then this came into my head, or to my vision, or, it was like a vision kind of thing. So, anyway, guys, just kind of wanted to kind of make this video here. I'm trying with my YouTube channel. I'm trying to, kind of make content as much as possible when I have an experience or when I, whatever. It's, so, yeah. And like, I'm I'm kind of bringing this stuff up also with my therapist too. And I find therapy kind of less and less helpful the more that I engage in this 5D kind of thing, these meditations, and just there's less that I need from from therapy. There's less and less that I need over time. You know, which is a good thing. That's a really good thing because that means that I'm healing, that I'm growing and healing and all that good stuff. So it's not a bad thing to not need therapy. So yeah, things are good with me, and I'm again, as I said, like, I'm okay if this is a real experience, if this is like I have a 5D daughter, which is, it's like, oh, that's news to me, and it's like, how did that happen? But that's okay. Like, I don't need to figure it out. I don't need to intellectualize it. Like, I was like, oh, okay. It took me by surprise, but I always say yes to the universe whenever it kind of brings me something new. I always say yes, even though I'm like, I don't know about this. and so and so yeah, so even if it's like me creating something for my own psychological health, that's okay with me too. It's like, oh, it taught me a valuable lesson. Be like a child. Be more, relaxed, creative, have fun, like, do have fun, you know? And that's the point. And the universe always takes care of children, you know? At least, that's what's supposed to happen in an ideal world. So, and the other thing that I found interesting was she didn't really need anything from me. Normally, kids, they go up to their parents and ask for this and that, toys and meals and whatever. And she was like, okay, well, I don't, you know, I'm, I don't need that. I, it was more of a thing that it was there for my benefit, which was very interesting. So, I'm just taking these experiences as they come, and that's all I can do. And it was actually really beneficial, really enriching, very like I don't know, it was a really cool experience, just new a new kind of thing. So that's cool. Alright, guys, I don't know what more to say. Just wanted to let you guys know about this experience and my 5D adventures and all that. So, alright, guys. Love you guys, and we'll see you later. Bye bye. See ya. Peace.